Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from the Daily Signal dated October 6th. It says, foreign communists are funding and training violent leftist radicals in the U.S. And isn't that wonderful? That's what we wanted, is that foreign influence training people to destroy our own country. And thankfully Trump marked Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of this and follow the money and prosecute people, because that needs to be done. It says, the issue is never the issue. The issue is the revolution, said the late David Horowitz, quoting a 1960s rebel. The Palestinian conflict, the climate, transgenderism, immigration, and abortion are all proximate causes for protests and now terrorism. They are all also part of an amalgamated omnicause whose real purpose is to bring down the United States and the West. Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk and other recent tragedies that are rightly garnering worldwide attention, our leaders have finally woken up and are looking into who the perpetrators are and who organizes and finances them. After Kirk's death, a liberal fired 3 bullets into an ABC News office in Sacramento, supposedly to protest the suspension of left-wing commentator Jimmy Kimmel. Last week, another radical shot inside a Dallas Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility, killing 2 people. Yeah, and they were both immigrant. So good job to you, moron. And I know he's dead. I know he took care of himself, if you know what I mean, at the end, which, again, thank God for that. It says law enforcement is investigating and Congress is weighing hearings on whether we have a problem with left-wing violence in America, which the answer to that is overwhelmingly yes. It says, for years I have called for investigations into Black Lives Matter. What they will find is that much of this support, not just financial but also ideological, comes from overseas, from countries that loathe the American way because its existence is a constant rebuke to their decrepit ideologies. Front and center are dark places run by communist parties such as China and Cuba. They fund intricate radical networks inside American society because they benefit when chaos weakens us. It doesn't matter what issue gets thousands out of the street to riot, or now, even kill. That's why it's an omnicause. The communist group Answer Coalition, and the Answer stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism, will storm the barricades on behalf of any matter that challenges what the Marxists would call all American power structures. The matter itself, as Horowitz observed, is not the problem. As an Answer Coalition demonstrator told a journalist in 2024 at a pro-Hamas rally, the purpose of the demonstration really was getting rid of America, getting rid of the West. This is what this is for. Yes, everyone here understands that at some level we need to get rid of America completely. Well, to whoever said that, if you somehow come across this video, you need to understand that you are stupid because you have no idea what comes after this. And all I'm going to say is that it would be far worse than anything you could possibly imagine. Okay? So that would just be a dumb thing to happen. It says, following Kirk's martyrdom at the hands of a suspect with a boyfriend allegedly transitioning to be a woman and who asserted that Kirk spread hate, the FBI has launched an investigation into radical groups in Utah, according to the New York Post and Axios. One group that has been named is Armed Queers Salt Lake City, a Marxist cell that believes in arming and training LGBTQ people to acquire power. The group is led by Urmia Fanayan, a gun-toting transgender Iranian immigrant who calls for revolution. Yeah, why don't you go try being that, in your own country and see how that ends up for you. So Fanayan traveled to Cuba for training earlier this year, where he was told by Cuba's communists, it's time for you to go home and make your own revolution. Well, I think we probably need to do something about Cuba, if that's the case. There's no direct evidence ties AQSLC to the man charged with Kirk's murder, Tyler Robinson, but it's easy to see why the FBI is investigating it. AQSLC immediately scrubbed down its social media presence after Kirk's assassination, as did Fanayan, who identifies as a woman. AQSLC's logo has 2 rifle bullets inscribed in the same manner as the bullet casings with which Robinson supposedly killed Kirk. There is also, of course, the transgender angle. It says additionally, AQSLC was organized recently in St. George, Utah, a city of just 100,000 inhabitants, where Robinson and his boyfriend, Lance Twigg, lived. And yes, that is actually the boyfriend's name. It says, lastly, AQSLC collaborated with the Leninist Transgender Socialist Rifle Association, a violent Antifa group that the Daily Wire said is linked to several politically motivated violent crimes. Then there's this. When the Daily Wire's Luke Rosiak asked SRA's Salt Lake chapter and the national headquarters whether Robinson was a member, they both replied no. But when Rosiak asked if Twigg was a member, they demurred, citing confidentiality policies. Uh-oh, found you. As all this was enough for Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, Republican of Florida, who on September 26 wrote to Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Attorney General Pam Bondi detailing all these AQSLC links and requesting a thorough interagency investigation into the role that foreign adversaries have in bankrolling disruptive organizations to incite or perpetrate violence. AQSLC and Fanayan seem to have had close links with Antifa, an anarcho-communist entity, and traditional and cultural Marxist groups such as Black Lives Matter, which believe in state power as long as they control it. All these angles are discussed in a very good report, on radical groups in Utah, just published by the Center for Security Policy. Never heard of those guys. It says, but even if it turns out there is no connection between Robinson and Fanayan, using contact tracing on the AQ-SLC leader reveals the vast extent to which left-wing networks have burrowed in America with or without foreign help. Fanayan, for example, is associated with the Marxist-Leninist Party for Socialism and Liberation. Those two words are like opposites of each other, for which she set up a student study group at the University of Utah. The PSL was founded and is led by the same man who founded and leads the Answer Coalition, Brian Becker, a former host for Russian propaganda outlet Sputnik Radio. In 2022, Fanayan also addressed a crowd at the People's Forum's New York headquarters. These three groups are part of a network funded with money granted by a shadowy millionaire who lives in Shanghai and has close ties to the Chinese Communist Party, Neville Roy Singham. And I'm going to have a video coming out within this week from when you're hearing this, within the next few days, I should say, about this guy. And I know George Soros gets like all the attention for who's funding left-wing things, but this dude is just as bad. He's the guy that you should be hearing about, but never really do. So I'm glad his name is starting to get out there a bit more. It says the Network Contagion Research Institute explained in a very good study published last year. So that's the dude. So, and as this author says, that he explained in a paper he published last year with Mary Mobley, the People's Forum is run by a Cuban agent named Manolo de los Santos, who was involved in the takeover of Columbia University's Hamilton Hall in 2024. The PSL, meanwhile, attended an international Antifa festival in Caracas this year, and that's in good old Venezuela. None of these countries has any interest in transgender politics, which their communist leaders recognize as depraved, but they are very interested in revolution in our streets against the Omnicause. CSP warns that historically, American intelligence has struggled to understand the nature of threats that do not operate based on vertically integrated command or control structures. They better be up to the job. Correct. So, here we go. All these terrorist supporters right here in this picture, but yeah, so like I said, there'll be another video coming out within a few days that goes into this a little bit more about who that Neville Roy Singham guy is, because he's just as bad as George Soros, and that, I think, is where the money is going to lead her to, those two guys, Soros and Singham. But yeah, so that's it for now here. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.